Everybody's busy all the time. If you're a parent, even if you're a grandparent or an aunt or uncle, you got your work cut out for you. Everybody's in a different stage of parenting or grandparenting, I'm sure. So, it's a little bit different for everybody, but still, you're responsible for those little beings.
We've come a very long way. Rusty Lozano joining us this morning, by the way, here on Memphis Morning News, licensed professional counselor. Rusty, thanks for joining us this morning on Memphis Morning News. We've come a long way from mom and dad just sort of helping us on that diorama for that science fair project. It's kind of blown up out of proportion, hasn't it?
It has come a long way, and it has kind of gotten out of hand, and we're seeing a trend of kids that are developing zero instincts to fly on their own.
You hear the term helicopter parenting, and those of us who parent do know that, but there may be some who've been out of the parenting business for a while. Can you give an official definition for that?
Yeah, a helicopter parent is a parent who's overly observing and overly involved in a child's behavior and the outcomes of a child's endeavors, whether it be joining a ball team or turning in a project or making friends. Parent will actually get in and advocate for them as an individual one in themselves. So essentially, the child's identity is enmeshed with the parent.
From what you've seen, Rusty, where does this stem from?
Well, I think a big part of it is it's driven by anxiety. You look at our schools and look at the workforce today. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of fear in knowing where your kiddo is going to go to school. Are they going to get a job? How successful are they going to be in life? And I think that's driving a lot of this from a parent standpoint, to get in and make sure and play a hand for our kids and make sure that we're giving them as much of a boost as we can to be successful in the world.
Well, you don't want your kid to fall behind, I think, is sometimes what a lot of parents think. Then I think everybody takes that just to a different level or a different degree. Whether it's sports, with kids playing year-round sports, sometimes as early as 5 and 6 years old, where they've already focused on one sport, or parents, and I laughed at one example that says, if you're a helicopter parent, you might say we instead of he. And everybody, I think, every parent has done that, but you really try not to do that. You try to make sure that you don't say we, but when your kids are little, you always say, we're doing this, and it's really all about your kid.
It's one and the same, yeah. It's like essentially there's no difference.
But as they get older, you got to drop the we and let them be them.
You do have to let them be them, and essentially you start that at a young age. Give your child choices. Let them choose what they want to do, and be content with whatever direction they go in. Let them experience failures. Let them kind of leather a little bit and get used to disappointment. And know that, just because this didn't work out for you doesn't mean it's the end. But, there are other options. There are other ways to recover and other avenues to find answers and be successful.
As adults, have we heaped this problem upon ourselves with, for instance, with lessons in extracurricular activities or these club sports teams that seem to go year-round and are expensive, that have monthly dues? Mm-hmm. Have we backed ourselves into a corner thinking that our kids have no margin for error anymore? And and I guess you could even maybe, Rusty, take that even to test scores as well.
Oh, absolutely. Test scores and beyond, even to, what kind of child, bragging rights to what kind of school your child got into for college. But that all kind of shadows on a concept of vicariously living through your child. You see all these neat things that we didn't have as kids and sports teams, and now there's stature with success and competition. I mean, my daughter's softball games are so intense that, their parents screaming at the umpire.
Yeah, it gets crazy. It gets crazy at a lot of the sporting events. And I want to quickly, before we run out of time, ask you about a situation I see with so many kids these days, and it is a sense of self-entitlement, that they are owed everything. And you see this in little kids, you see this in older kids, and I sometimes see it in my kids, and I'm very concerned. How do I stop that? And is this a generational thing? What's the deal with this self-entitlement issue?
Well, I think that is a generational thing. They call this the cupcake era, where everybody gets theirs. Everybody gets a cupcake, so everybody makes the team. Everybody's a cheerleader. And that sense of entitlement is the instinct that the child has actually essentially learned to develop from always having things, always being successful, always needing and getting their needs met for everything they actually try out for. They do outstanding because they have parent support and drone support and helicopter support and hot air balloon support and, whatever style of parenting that is facilitating this kind of mentality.
Rusty Lozano, a licensed professional counselor, joining us on Memphis Morning News. Thank you so much for your insight this morning. It does bring to light an issue that maybe isn't something that you see in the headlines of the newspaper, but it is a growing problem in certain segments of society that sometimes the kids just need to screw up on their own and rub some dirt on it, I guess.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, sometimes I get frustrated with my kids, and my husband said they got to just learn on their own. I'm like, I have to watch. He's like, yes, you got to let them learn on their own, and I'll watch the milk spill all. I'm like, why not? And I'm thinking, don't put the milk on the edge of the counter. It's little things like that, but yeah, they got to clean up that giant glass of milk once, and maybe they'll be more careful the next time.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Rusty.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
And as a parent, you want to pull out your hair, but that's how they learn.
You know, when I was a kid, the monkey bars were made out of metal, and we fell off of them, and we liked it.